that would be a good alternative. So yeah, it's a shame that it's got the stigma, I guess, because it's holding it back, bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's do this. Nick.
Let's do it.
I've got my full 80s regalia on, and I'm prepared to throw down.
Thundering outside, which is
thundering.
perfect.
It's a perfect thing for tonight, right?
Yeah. Which we got a bit of a spooky episode.
Yeah. So welcome to Settling Scores Podcast Edition.
Episode 4. We're back.
We're drinking fruit tingles.
Fruit tingles.
We're doing this again because the first time we messed it up the audio.
Yeah, that's how you know we're really getting in the business.
But this is the thing, guys, is that we're happy just to do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Beat it like a dead horse. That's how we roll. So let's just fucking nail right into it, Nick. Mechanics you hate to see at the table. Let's go.
All right. What's yours?
Mill, bro. Fuck
Mill.
Mill can just suck my balls.
Yeah. Well, Brian's running a new Mill deck, which was a lot of fun.
And I hate it so much.
Your face when things go in the graveyard. Just, I could have played that. Oh my god, I could have played this.
Yeah. See, like Mill's one of them things where it's just like all your hopes and dreams get dashed. I just dash, dude, time after time. And unless you're running a dickload of recursion, it's just say goodbye to it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's Gonskis. What do you hate seeing?
What I hate seeing, mechanics, I would say, I think we just talked about this, stolen. People stealing things. And that's fine, but when things are attached to it, like auras and equipment, things get a little janky with the rules, and no one really knows what's going on.
No one understands them. And we refuse to agree on one single set of them.
And games will come to a halt, and yelling will occur,
yes.
And just insults that...
it's really hard to cut out like 25 minutes of... fierce debate about a particular
screw
rule.
You, you're wrong. Here's why I'm right. And it was just like, did you read this part of this forum?
Yeah, but how did you interpret it?
Yeah. If only the creators of the game were still alive, for us to get this feedback from, to ask them, what happens when I do this? Only if they were
with
still
this
around.
Very specific card that nobody's played in the last 18 years, essentially.
But they lost the time, so I guess we just have to interpret it our own way.
So the interesting thing about stealing is I think there's two ways to steal. One is, to me, quite fair, and one is unfair.
Yeah.
Sower of Temptation, I believe, steals things and
stays.
Keeps it until Sower leaves the battlefield. I think that's pretty fair game.
Yeah.
The ones that bother me, and I'll admit to this being an issue, is when you get it and there's no perceivable way of you getting it back.
So how long do you have that for? Forever.
Yeah. Yeah. What if I get rid of the thing that's got it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
My quarrel is when you steal something as an equipment attachment. I have done really... So I think we've talked about how when you steal something and people's like, oh, that's really powerful. It's like, only if what I steal is powerful. So if you're playing powerful things and you're allowing me to steal them, then I'm kind of just turning the sword back on you. Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah, absolutely. Dude,
I guess if your table's super powerful and you're just like, I might just steal that stuff.
It's a very cheap way to if someone puts down an 8 CMC thing and clone costs 4, or something along them lines, then you're essentially it's double for nothing in a sense.
Yeah, it could be a really. It's cool, but
very table
gets
dependent.
gets really janky when the rules start coming into play.
That's correct. Dude, favorite set or block of cards?
Favorite set of block of cards, Kamigawa. I love it. I had the Yuriko deck, got a lot of ninjas. I really like the art.
Yeah, the thematics, the theme.
Thematics. I like the equipment from it as well.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
The spirit and arcane features of it were really great.
Kitsune, I got a Kitsune deck, so a lot of those cards are from there.
It's a shame that they didn't carry on with the arcane spell.
Yeah, or just put them into instances.
Yeah, errata it to... Yeah, exactly. Dude, I'm going to go for the... I think we've mentioned this before, but the old Shadowmoor Lorwyn, that kind of twisted fantasy. It's what you're familiar with, but it's also not what you're familiar with. That's kind of a lot of fun to me. It was a really unique direction that the game took. But yeah, so we've been playing the precons for a couple of weeks now, dude. How are you feeling about them as an overall release project?
I'm really enjoying them. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I think they did as they promised, which was they were going to give all those other precons, those color identities, a new way, a new kind of strategy. Yeah. I think they definitely did it with
nailed that. Yeah,
with the Is It, which was kind of like, casting big spells, just allowing you to play big spells. That's one I'm running, which is a lot of fun. And the other ones look like a heap of fun. I think so. Prismari is probably my favorite. Second, I'm probably going to maybe pick Witherbloom. Looks like a lot of fun.
Witherbloom looks great. I think it's got a lot of really good support already built into the game as well.
The card, it's got some bonkers cards in it as well.
Yeah, that's true. I've been excited by the Witherbloom. I'm kind of tempted to crack that pack open and have a look at the stuff in there.
You got the double life gain in there as well, which is awesome.
Yeah. So I think they've been pretty well balanced power levels. We've done some modifications. It really doesn't take more than $20-$30 to really kind of pump some power into them as well, just to cut some of the dead weight or to adjust the theme a little bit, perhaps from one to another.
Which way you want to swing at for the Prismari deck. I was kind of really leaning in heavy for going for the X spells.
Yeah. So they're thematically, I think they've kind of nailed it. Power level wise, I think they've nailed it. They've been pretty impressed. Really, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been
doing that.
It's fun to have everyone play a deck at the table.
Yeah, I'm waiting on a few cards here and there. I want to really want to run for the Pillow Fort theme with a Silver Quill, but we'll get there. They're coming.
They're coming. Think about things on their way. Lost Legend of the Week. Hey. What do we got?
Dude, this guy, he's a commander killer.
Commander killer, that's right.
If you've got 3 Brians at your table, they're all running Carly.
They're all running Atraxas.
They're all running dumb stuff. We've got Tsabo Tavoc, and this guy is a black and a red for creature legend, 7/4 power, first strike, protection from legends, which is great. You can just block all day with this guy or attack through them, not a big deal. And then we've got double black and tap to destroy target legend. It can't be regenerated.
Yeah, so that's insane. And also the protection from legends is also great.
It's one of them cards that, like, if someone's running Voltron at your table,
just shuts it down.
It's not a problem anymore. If somebody's running, like we said, Kalia, you can get to Kalia turn after turn if you need to, without having to draw your murder or anything like that. So
the only issues I see is just she costs a lot to get out, which is 7. But you can get your way up there.
You can work around that. She's super cheap. I think less than $1. She's only got 25 decks on EDH Rec, which is insane. There's really no one's using her, so scoop her up while she's undiscovered, I guess.
Yeah. It's going to be a real protect the present situation. You're going to want to keep her safe once you get her out. You don't want to be paying 15 mana for her.
No, and if you can give her haste as well with the lightning greaves, then she can be killing things straight away. So that can kind of catch people by surprise. Rakdos Colors is interesting as well. So there's a few cards like Master of Cruelties that can really allow you just to kind of toy with the table and mess with them a little bit. And then I guess the other thing would be Vigilance. Yeah. So at least then you can swing with her, 3 hits with her, and you got your command damage kill, which is awesome.
At least to put the pressure on,
Yeah, and then if you've got the Vigilance, you can attack and tap, so you can still be killing legendaries at the same time. So definitely, I don't know why she's $1. I guess maybe the CMC, but
she's no joke. But she's got a high CMC, so that might be the first turn off. But it's kind of a shutdown of your opponents.
Yeah. It's I think at the right table with the right opponents, then she'd really shine.
Yeah, especially with some graveyard stuff and putting things in people's graveyards and maybe taking them from there.
Yeah,
she could be a lot of fun.
Then we've got the 3 users success, Nick. What have we got this week, buddy?
For underrated, we have Hollowed Burial for 3 and 2 white for 5 total. Sorcery speed, put all creatures on the bottom of their owner's libraries. Ow.
Now this card here, we kind of looked at it, and there's Aetherize. There's cards similar to that that will put them back on top of your library. Obviously, you've got your Rafts that'll put them to the graveyard. Top of the library and graveyard's great, but against the
we like it at the bottom. We're bottom boys.
Well, with the correct decks, that's not a problem for them, for your opponents. With this, it's fucking gone. You're not getting it back.
It's great. Yeah, and it's only 1 higher than kind of like a normal whiteboard wipe. So it's like there's really no. I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
It's not that expensive. Yeah.
You can only run 1 Wrath of God in your deck.
The great thing as well is that it's not destroying. It's It just says put all.
Yeah,
so it's gonna get rid of a lot of the regenerate abilities. Yeah, it avoids a lot of stuff, which is kind of cool. Undervalued for this week, guys.
I see you've chosen a wall of text here, straight from Strixhaven.
So Blessed Reincarnation, I think it is 3 and a blue. And basically what it does is it exiles...
You don't want to read all this giant list?
It exiles target creature, and then you reveal cards from your top of your library until you reveal a creature card, and you put that card into play.
Yeah.
Which kind of sounds like a...
risky. Kind of like a Chaos Warp.
Chaos Warp, that's the one. Perfect.
Which is just a permanent, I believe.
Yep. And what this does, though, is that this has rebound. So as soon as you've cast it, and it's resolved, it's exiled, and you can cast it again on your upkeep. This is at instant speed, so you could cast it on your last opponent's upkeep. So you're kind of flexible.
Now this is a risky move doing this. This is risky.
So this is risky, but this is how I'm looking at it. Let's say that someone's got Crater Hoof Behemoth out, right?
Yeah.
Something mental. You play this, like it disappears, and they pull out a Kadama, or they pull out something. No. Well, let's say they pull out something bad, really bad again. Yeah. On your next turn, it goes again.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, it's kind of like you can eliminate two threats from the same person's board, or, in a better case, perhaps, you eliminate something from someone's board, and then on your next upkeep, you eliminate another threat from somebody else's board. Cool. So, it's kind of a 2-for-1 in a sense. So, a little bit of flexibility there. Obviously, it's not as good as just straight-up exile, but it is cheaper. Yeah. So, there's that. What about our under $1, Nick?
Under $1, we got Soul Shatter. 2 and a black, instant speed. Each opponent sacrifices a creature or planeswalker with the highest converted mana cost among creatures and planeswalkers they control.
Show me one other murder in this, or one other removal in this game that gets rid of 3 potential creatures or planeswalkers.
3 for 3.
For 3.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Brutal.
And it's like the odds are the highest CMC is the best thing they got.
Yeah,
it's not very often that they're like, oh, I've got a 9 CMC.
Yeah.
It's just a wall. This thing's a lot of fun. It's 96 cents, I think, at the moment, so just under the $1.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Really.
Yeah, it's clinging in there. I think Zendikar was just so there's just so much of it, I guess. The prices
they had a low value associated to it.
Yeah. But this is a great card, I think, for less than $1. It's
and it was easy for them to just go target opponent, but they've gone each opponent, so it's so viable for
3.
us.
You're eliminating 3 threats, which is great. All right, we got a weekly strategy segment. Yeah. Sun Tzu, one of the masters, the OG masters of warfare.
Respect to the elders.
And we've got this week's Tzu Says, and he says, if your opponent is of caloric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, and he may grow arrogant.
Absolutely.
And what we're going to do with this one, guys, is
what was this old dude talking about?
Why
do we keep talking about him?
This old bag. He's saying he's bringing on a good point. This is very easy with Brindsy.
Yeah.
If I attack Brindsy early, I know he'll only attack me for the rest of the game. Does that benefit me? Maybe. It depends what kind of deck I'm running. It depends what I got. If I've got a deflecting palm and I know he's just going to throw shit at me turn after turn.
He was so upset when I killed him.
Yes, with it. Absolutely. But this is the thing. Like with the right deck, if you know you can irritate somebody and get them to focus on you and that works to your benefit, then that's a great strategy. Yeah. The other half of this is if you pretend to be weak, you might grow arrogant. There's been games where I just won't play anything and pretend to be weak when I've got a handful of lit cards, and I'm just doing it because I'm like, okay, I don't want to, proverbially blow my load too early. I want to just hold on a little bit. I want to wait 3 or 4 more turns, let them duke each other out, maybe wait for someone to drop off, and then I'm going to start dropping bombs and start establishing my
coming
board.
From behind. That's my favorite strategy.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, you kind of put yourself in this position where I got nothing to play, guys. I got 8 cards. I got 8 cards.
And all I'm drawing's land.
Yeah, all I'm drawing's land. You kind of put the. It's kind of like that. They kind of wipe the board, and your best 2 creatures still in your hand. You're like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And you kind of might even like pretend to kind of kingmaker a little bit or give support because you're like, I got nothing, just keep me around for a bit, and then you can kind of swoop in for the victory.
The other half of this that I really enjoy is if you've got the board wipe in your hands, just pretend you don't. Let everybody just keep building and building and building, and then once you've got a handful of good stuff, drop the board wipe. Oh, I top decked it, guys. What are the odds? This is just being deceptive with your kind of play style, I think, is the overall theme.
Yeah, your deck doesn't have to influence exactly how you play,
Yeah.
You can introduce some of your own Sun Tzu into your game.
Yeah, you can kind of protect yourself through these little tips and tricks.
Now, in saying this, Fabian was very low one of the games we played last week, and I decided to just kill him because I didn't want his...
Yeah.
I didn't want him basically swooping in from nowhere, so I was like, I'm just going to get rid of you now so I don't have to worry about it.
That was probably a good decision.
Yeah.
I think that's... he has the potential to come back very swiftly, which
and
is dangerous.
on the other side of that coin is that every turn you focus on the weakest player of the table, just 2 other people get stronger.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. Alrighty. We've got a main topic of the week this week, and what we wanted to cover is why budget? Like, why play budget?
Why do we play budget? Why do we like budget? Why aren't we taking 3 mortgages on our houses and playing CD?
Or why aren't we just spending, $12 and proxying, 10 good cards? I think there's a number of benefits when it comes to budget. We're going to go through a few of the cons first, and then we'll kind of look at why we like it.
Budget.
So what do we got, Nick?
First downer, mo colours, mo problems.
Mo problems.
I run a King Kenny deck. I was doing alright with it, but then by the end of the day, it's kind of like I'm spending a lot of time on my land, spending a lot of time on mana fixing. And it's like sometimes to get those good lands or to be able to pull out the lands that you need for the situation, i.e. fetch lands, it's expensive.
So I ran a 5-color Joda deck. And I turned it into Golos, Tireless Pilgrim.
I know chromatic lantern exists. Stop.
What's that, sorry?
I know chromatic lantern. This is what the comment is.
Yeah, but it's a $7 card. It's way above our budget. A lot of guild gates, a lot of basically tap lands.
Yeah, you're going to need all the tap lands, which slows you down.
Exactly. Yeah. It does slow you down a little bit. I know Mitch has done really well with this. I think he ran Kenny on Command Zone, and he did really, really well with it. It can be done, but it is a challenge to do.
I like to... So, I've been dabbling in more mono decks recently, and then I kind of like to sit around, 2 or 3 colours.
Yeah.
I think most of my decks are around 2 colours.
I think I'd almost say most of mine are 3.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So next time you hear, I don't have the right land I need.
Happens a lot, guys. Okay, what's another con we've got is that staples, your Soul Rings, your Arcane Signets,
Lightning Greaves,
Swiftfoot Boots, they take up a big chunk of your available budget.
The stuff you just need to play the game with. Arcane Signets.
Yeah. They're things that you don't want to be giving them away. The idea here is that, if you're running let's say you're running $80 budget.
Yeah.
US dollars.
Okay. That gives us around $130, $140.
Yeah. So with that budget, I think your Soul Ring, your Arcane Signet, your Lightning Greaves, and your Swiftfoot Boots by themselves are probably going to be close to $20 US to fill all that out.
Syncs it up, and then you got to pay for lands, and then you only have $30 or $40 to actually do your deck. Yeah,
to do the remaining 60 cards or 70 cards. So and this once again, this could be a big hustle. There is ways around it. Running Tzu Says Ring instead of running...
I disagree with that.
Worn Power Stone. These are just they're little things that you can either decide to try and spend more money on the bulk or spend more money on
alternatives.
Find alternatives and
which we can talk about later. Finding alternatives.
Yeah. What else have we got, Nick, for the cons?
Finding old or unique cards is often hard. Finding the right cards for you're out of budget or you're coming close to your budget. I need another Niv Mizzet Parun in my deck, or maybe he's expensive, or I need X card, but he's $14. What card can I get that kind of does the same thing as this guy? And you're gonna have to sink in some time. You might need 2 or 3 cards that do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, they're smashing through the advanced search and Scryfall can really be time consuming. Trying to get exactly the right terms in there. The rules text, once you get a really good feel for it, it's kind of good to work around. But it is hard to track these cards down and really find it. It's time consuming. But in saying that, it's also nice once you get the whole deck put together. You've put the time into it. It is rewarding.
And you make something kind of a little bit more unique than what other people say. And people are going to kind of oogle and argle at what cards you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And along with that, like actually, we live in Australia. Finding older generation cards, the 15 to 20 year olds and stuff like that, is very hard. A lot of the time, ordering from the US or something like that is the only option for quite a few cards. So
US or China is what we order from.
Yeah. So there is a few downfalls to trying to get specific cards, but that's, I guess, part of the
praise the secondary market.
So what else have we got, Nick? We got optimization.
Yeah, I think optimization can be seen as a con and a positive. Because on one hand, you're going to need to have a very synergistic and optimized deck at a low budget.
Yeah.
And you can't rely on the expensive combos. Well, just maybe some staple combos that your deck would be able to pull off, with a couple of this and a couple taps and a couple untaps of this, and then you can get that engine going. You might not be able to pull off, or you can pull off on a budget deck, but you're going to be blowing your load. You're going to be blowing your proverbial load on a large part of your deck, only for a few cards.
Yeah. It's definitely something that you have to work a lot harder towards to get it to work right. But once again, no one remembers the 5-minute trip to the shop. Yeah. You're walking 14 Ks. You're going to remember that. You're going to feel good that you've overcome that hurdle. So what you get in, you get out.
Find your own problems to the solutions, I guess. Yeah. And there's always the community to help you. And if you just say, I'm on a budget, I can't really do that.
Big shout out to Budget Brews on Reddit and
Fringe EDH.
Fringe EDH has both been great communities to try and they got great weekly segments. The community's good. So let's move on to the positives, dude. Let's go budget positives. Why play budget?
It's cheap.
It is cheap. It's fucking cheap. Hey, what's better than having one deck? How about 14?
Yeah.
There's very little barrier to entry when it comes to budget. I can tell
it's fruit tingles ticking in. My fingers are getting tingling.
Drink of the week, guys. It's the Listen, I've got a lot of decks. My average cost of my decks is about $130. I love them all. I love playing them. And they're all fun. Yeah. I would infinitely, and this is maybe just my personality, I'd rather have 10 $130 decks than one $1,300 deck any day of the week.
Pressure off. You're not buying a $400-$500 deck where it's like, wow, this is a lot of money going to this deck. I hope it does well.
And the other thing is like your table. Everyone's coming from different backgrounds. Everyone's got different work opportunities and everything like that. Like when you're running budget, it's way more inclusive. Everybody can kind of show up with a $150 deck and throw down kind of thing.
I think nice. So. That's one of the things I thought about when we first introduced the budget was like, maybe I'd rather play with no budget because that way everyone can play the absolute cards they want and we can play at the level of the highest. But also, when you put down the budget and you put the cap, you put the roof on, it kind of evens the playing field and the people and it kind of rewards your deck building.
Yes, that's another pro ultimately is that
absolutely
with budget you can build it in a way that really is the peak of that monetary allowance in a sense. Like you can really go to the absolute limit of that amount. Yeah, and that's super rewarding in itself, and it's going to net you solid wins because it's very easy to throw together a $200 deck. It's very hard to throw together a $200 deck that's going to perform well game after game after game. Kind of.
You might be tweaking. So I kind of have I'm of the strategy where I'll throw a deck together and I'll be like, I hope this does what it needs to, and I'll play it. I kind of play test a lot. Yeah. This needs to go. And it's kind of like, you kind of can tell when you've got the card in your hand, like, this is a bummer to have in my hand. And that's the card you take out, and you put something else in, you find something else.
Yeah.
So play testing is something you kind of will need to do, because you won't have the staples to rely on.
Yeah, but that's once again, that's another great thing about budget, is you might spend $130 on the deck and think, oh, these 3 cards here have underperformed. Okay, I'll spend an extra $8 or $9 getting them 3 or 4 cards replaced and up to scratch, and that'll be fine. So we've also got like fun and unexpected gameplay. When you're playing a lot of cheap cards, they have wacky interactions with each other that aren't seen very often.
We've had that happen before a few times.
You have these weird combos just kind of organically happen at the table that are completely unexpected. It leads to like a lot more dynamic play. The games are explosive and different.
We have a well-bit $80 deck can still compete with a $200 deck. Sorry, these fruit tingles are getting to me. Caps don't have to hamper power levels. So I think what Nick has written down here for me, my show notes, is telling me there's a point in which the kind of layers at which your budget kind of affects the power level. Like, I think in the Command Zone they have talked about it, where it's like the $500 deck and the $1,500 deck are kind of similar power ranges. There's not like a giant difference.
Yes.
And so I think you have less pressure to be like, oh, my deck's only $80 in a $200 cap. It's it's not a huge difference.
So we've got a $230 cap.
Yeah.
One of my decks is
Australian AED.
No, USD. It equals about $300 Australian.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've got one deck.
Yeah, that's right.
At that level, everything else is around 130. I've got a couple of $90, $80 decks.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think my decks sit around. Yuriko's my highest one.
Yeah. I think most of yours, when I was looking through the other night, like 150-ish to 130.
150, around there, yeah.
Yeah. And so these decks, guys, like, there's definitely Brian's pushing the limit on most of his decks. We're competing.
We're not oppressed by him at all.
No,
like, his decks aren't oppressive, and they're not just like threat after threat after.
Exactly.
We kind of joke around that he's a threat, but yeah,
he's commanded. So if you start with like an $80 deck and you optimize it well, and it's really well put together and everything like that, you kind of have the right kind of combos in place and everything like that, it will compete and go up against $200 decks that aren't quite as well optimized, perhaps, or don't have the right luck, and it will still pull up victories here and there.
Absolutely, it's going to feel really good to pull up.
Absolutely.
There. And I guess you don't have the pressure just because the cap is there. Doesn't mean you have to be pushing it.
You don't have to meet it. No, there's absolutely no.
We've kind of been a kind of. We've been really pushing ourselves to like how low from the cap can we go with a good deck. Like, we're definitely not going to like not pick a card because it won't fit in, but we'll see kind of the threshold at which we can meet.
There's no pressure at the table to be near that cap at the moment.
Not.
Absolutely
no idea. If anything, that's kind of like oh geez, you really pushed the cap there, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah. It's almost like you don't have to meet it, guys. It's just a rule.
My deck, it's $229.99.
Yeah, that's all well and good. If you've got the money, go for it. But the great thing is that if you put the time in, the research in, it's absolutely not necessary. So I think we can move on to our mastering Machiavelli. So along with Sun Tzu, Machiavelli, author of The Princes, or The Prince, kind of gives you all these kind of insightful things on how to...
True meatball.
Oh my god. It gives you kind of all these insights on how to not only, carve out your own place of power, as it were, but also to always be a step ahead of your enemies.
Yeah.
And so we've picked a quote here today from his book. Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception.
Absolutely.
I think we touched on this a little bit before, guys. If you've got like a hot board full of threats, and you've got a decent hand, but you're worried about things being removed, or let's say you've got a huge threat in your hand, and you know as soon as you play it, it's gonna go. Leave it in your hand.
Yeah.
Just sit there.
It's the same as you're playing Texas Hold'em.
Yeah.
Bluff your way through the game.
Bluff your way through it.
Wow, that's a big one.
Just let everybody think that you're just fucking around, that you don't really have anything. Or if you let's do the board wipe example. One of my favorite things in the world to do, if you've got the right deck, is to board wipe and bounce everything back to everyone's hand, wait for them all to replay it, and then wrath. Or something like that, and just kill everything. Just because they're wasting so many turns, and you're just holding all the answers ready to go.
Especially with the blue deck. I think Nick's done that with his wizard deck a few times. You just don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's easy just to sit back. It's much easier to sit back and chill and just make people think that you don't have anything than it is to really just throw all your cards down. Yeah. Like, literally throw all your cards on the table and show everybody what you got.
My counterpoint will be, like, obviously deceive and kind of, play close to your chest and kind of use your wits about you, but don't be known as the person who's going to lie straight out the table. You know, like, you definitely don't want to foster the, I'm not going to
You don't want to be the bad guy.
Yeah,
at the
obviously,
table.
if you, however your group can tolerate it, like within you being like king-making and then actually just stab him in the back. If you can do that and your group laughs about it, that's great. Go for it. But if they're genuinely hurt by it, then you definitely don't want to like put a target on your back with your deception.
I think a lot of people get upset about deception as a strategy, but ultimately,
I think it's because it plays from outside of the deck, where it's like, you only won because, you know, you used your smarts on me.
Yeah, I guess. But it's a political game.
Yeah, that's what I like.
That's the thing about Commander.
It's kind of like saying you only won by playing the chess pieces, you know.
Yes.
It's still a mind game playing with someone.
Well, this is the thing about Commander, is it's a 4-player game.
Yeah.
There is politics. It's part of it. Like, I think with what you're saying, Nick, that's absolutely true if it's 1v1.
Yeah.
But as soon as it's more than that...
you can turn people against each other. I've tried to turn people against... Like, oh, Brian, so you're just going to let Nick do that to you? It's so
Your problem is that it's so obvious.
It's so overt.
Brian falls for it.
It's so overt that it's covert. as Michael... that's from Get Smart. But yeah, you'll get it.
Maxwell Smart?
Yeah, it's from Get Smart. Yeah, Maxwell Smart, yeah. So I remember the first time you invited me over to play Commander, I was like dreading it because I thought it would just be like... Because you said it's 4
robotic,
people. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like I versus you, and then like
radio, like a little round robin.
Yeah, and then we verse each other, and then like the winner versus the other.
That would be horrible.
Yeah, and then it was like all 4 people versing each other at once, and it was just like there's so much to focus on. Yeah, and it's just like how is this even possible? There's so much happening at once.
And now you love it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love it then because it was just like, what is going on? This is awesome.
Let's move on to our Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Nick has been on a bit of a Robin Hobb binge.
Yep. With, spoiler alert, it's all wolves.
The Farseer trilogy, and he has picked some very wolf-focused cards.
If you listen to Farseer, hit me up. Don't spoil it though. I'm only up to book 3.
You can talk to me about it. I've read them all. But listen, if you haven't read it, guys, don't be thrown off. Read it. It's a great book. You'll love it. It's definitely
amazing.
Worth it.
It's one of the best books I've ever written.
So we have for the good, Nick. What have we got? You've picked them all this week.
I picked them all. So a 2 and a green. For the good, my criteria was good looking and strong. So
nice.
Art is amazing for Lone Wolf. 2 and a green. Is a creature wolf. You may have Lone Wolf deal its combat damage to defending player as though it weren't blocked, which is great.
Yeah.
You can Voltron him up to a shit ton of damage. Doesn't matter what they block with, it's going to deal damage straight to the player. I might be doing that wrong, but...
No, this could be one of them cards where, like, I think Aspect of the Hydra or something like that.
If you can put, Wolf.
Or even, like, put a lot of, like, X... It gets X power till the end of the turn, where X is another creature on the battlefield or something like that. All of a sudden, this guy, you throw him at somebody for 2. You pump him for 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, he might be able to clinch you the game just based on something like that.
I think he's a great 99, a great green 99. Yep. I'm not seeing him as like something that's outdated or...
Especially if you're running like Stompy, green Stompy, Gruul or something like that, then I definitely think that's a good opportunity. What do we got for the bad, Nick?
The bad. So this one, my criteria was kind of ticked a little bit. The art is pretty cool. But this is just a very bad card. It is Aspect of the Wolf for 1 and a green enchant creature. Target creature's power and toughness are increased by half the number of forests you have in play, rounding down for power and up for toughness. This sucks.
It's rough. It's hard to, turn 10, maybe, let's say, 14 lands.
Yeah.
With a Cultivate, with an Explosive Vegetation, and a Farseek or something like that.
You can't pull a Forest with a Farseek.
So if you're running mono green, then it's a 7/7.
And this is only viable in mono green. You cannot, and it's like even in mono green, if you're not running something that's declared as specifically a forest, like Temple of the Gods, Rogue's Passage, that's just waste. So you're gonna have less lands. Yeah. This card sucks.
It's kind of like it's a bit of a missed opportunity, perhaps, where in standard, if you've got 6 or 7 or 8 lands down turn 8, it's kind of looking a little bit more chunky. Yeah. But, Commander doesn't really have a home at all, which is a bit of a shame.
Turn 8, you're going to have, like, a +4/4? I think there's just a lot of better answers and a lot of better cards.
There's better cards for that kind of power level, I guess.
And again, you're pretty much locked into mono green with this.
Yeah. Okay, what do we got for the ugly?
The ugly, we got Timber Wolves. It is just a green, summon wolves, banding. whoever drew this, I believe, has never seen a wolf.
They've seen raccoons.
They have definitely seen a raccoon before.
And they may be confused as to the actual, I don't know, physical nature.
Perhaps they were assaulted by a raccoon and decided that they survived a wolf attack, because these things just look like dirty, fat raccoons.
They look like very long-legged raccoons.
Yeah, this is not the best art I've ever seen, and it's good art. Like it looks great.
Yeah,
these aren't wolves. These are raccoons.
They're very interesting wolves.
Yeah.
They're very potentially genetically modified wolves.
I don't know what's going on in nature or who's doing who.
Well, I mean, listen. The dimensions of the body are pretty good.
Perhaps there's some sort of raccoon recessive gene within the wolf gene pool.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're all mammals, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I know.
Raccoons don't lay eggs.
Really? That's nice. They have pouches. And guys, I think that wraps it up for this week.
Yeah, a very stormy episode. Forgive us for the storm, but nothing goes right down here.
Not at this time of night.
No.
Yeah, it was not a great idea. But we're here. We've got it done. Hopefully it sounds somewhat okay.
We're going to eat our cinnamon buns now. Well, after
I'm looking forward to that. And then we'll be streaming
6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time Wednesday nights way down here. Follow us at Twitter at Settling Score.
We've got 7:30 Eastern Australian Standard Time for our podcast edition. If you'd rather tune into that, please shout out suggestions. Please give us content that you want us to talk about, review. We've got the segments there, guys. I'll have them in the video.
For us, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah,
there's
absolutely.
Quick criteria. The good, a really good card that's undervalued. The bad, just a shitty card. And the ugly. Ugly art.
Ugly art, guys.
Or art you just don't like.
Yeah, art that kind of makes you quiver a little bit.
You were
or shudder in your
attacked by
boots.
a wolf as a child, and you don't like wolf art.
Or zombies.
Zombies.
Whatever. There's plenty of crazy things in Magic. 20,000 pieces of art. So yeah, guys, feel free to hit us up.
Yeah. Deck ideas, whatever you want, guys.
Yeah, and we'll catch you around.
See you guys later.
See ya.